What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out one of the latest phones from Xiaomi called the Redmi Note 11. So there are three versions of this phone. This is the most affordable out of the three. This is the Redmi Note 11, then we have the Redmi Note 11S and the Redmi Note 11 Pro. But if you're looking for the most affordable out of the three, this is the one. Now, I've done a camera comparison between this phone and the iPhone 13. I know that the iPhone 13 is about 5 times more expensive than this, but I wanted to show you what a phone like this can do when compared to a flagship. And if that's the only thing you want to see, that camera comparison starts at this minute in this video. So you can skip right there if you don't care about anything else. Okay, so this phone is powered by the Snapdragon 680 that's paired with either 4 or 6 gigs of RAM. I personally have the version with 4 gigs of RAM and I kind of wish I would have had the version with 6 gigs of RAM. And if you like benchmark scores, well, this device gets an Antutu benchmark score of about 250,000. Okay, so with budget phones, you typically have to compromise certain things about a device. Well, one thing that you're not going to be compromising with the Redmi Note 11 is the screen. So this is a 6.43 inches AMOLED screen with a 90Hz refresh rate and a 1080p resolution. I have to say that this is one of the best screens that I've seen for any budget phone. So if you're looking for something cheap that has a really good screen, this is definitely one that you should consider. The screen also gets super bright, so there is no problem seeing the screen outdoors in direct sunlight, something that doesn't usually happen with a lot of budget phones. Another thing that you're not gonna have to compromise with this phone is the battery life. So inside this we have a 5000 mAh battery, and on one charge you can typically get between 13 and 15 hours of screen on time. Not to mention that inside the box we get a 33 watt fast charger and it takes the phone about an hour to charge from 0 to 100. So pretty impressive specs for a budget phone. The phone also gets pretty decent dual speakers, so we have one speaker at the top and one speaker at the bottom, and once again they sound better than a lot of other budget phones that I've tried in the past. And at the top here we even get a 3.5mm audio jack, so if you want to plug in some headphones you definitely can with this phone. We also have an IR blaster, so you can use the phone as a remote control for your TV. And we even have an NFC chip inside the phone, and that means that you're going to be able to make payments with this device. The build quality is decent, but nothing to write home about. So the phone is mostly made out of plastic, so the frame here is made out of plastic, the back is made out of plastic. However, the phone doesn't look bad, but when you're holding it in your hand, if you've had an expensive phone before, it does feel a bit on the cheaper side. On the right hand side here we also have the power button that's a fingerprint scanner, and the fingerprint scanner works really good. It takes about half a second from the time you touch it for the phone to unlock. Moving on to performance, well, this is where you're gonna have to compromise a bit with a phone like this. So this is definitely not the fastest phone out there. The phone runs MIUI 13, which is based on Android 11. And I'm not sure if it has to do with MIUI 13 or the 4 gigs of RAM that I have for this device, but the phone feels a bit sluggish whenever you're scrolling through your screens, when you're opening apps, when you're closing apps. So performance-wise, this is not gonna be the fastest phone out there. But as I said, you do have to compromise somewhere when you're talking about budget phones, and that is definitely one of the things that you're gonna have to compromise, which is performance. Next, we're gonna move on and talk about cameras, and I feel the cameras are another point on this device that you're gonna have to compromise a bit. That is the case with a lot of budget-friendly devices. Alright, so on the back of this phone we have the main camera, we have an ultra-wide camera, we have a macro camera, another camera that's used for portrait mode pictures. What you're seeing on the screen right now are pictures that I took with the main cameras on the back of this phone and of course on the back of the iPhone 13. As you can see here, the iPhone 13 does seem to do better in most of those pictures. The dynamic range in those pictures taken by the iPhone 13 is better, the picture sharpness is better, but I did notice that the Redmi Note 11 does better for color accuracy. The iPhone 13 does tend to oversaturate those colors a bit. But overall, for the main camera, this is what you're gonna be able to get from the Redmi Note 11. So once again, I'm not trying to do this comparison to show you that the iPhone 13 is better. I'm doing this comparison so you can see what you can get from a phone like the Redmi Note 11 when compared to a flagship. Moving on to some pictures that I took with the ultra-wide cameras. Once again, here the iPhone 13 does better, mostly because the pictures are sharper. If you look at the pictures that I took with the Redmi Note 11, well, right and the left hand side of the pictures aren't as sharp as the pictures that we get from that iPhone 13. However, the dynamic range seems to be improved from that ultra-wide camera when compared to the main camera. But overall, yes, the iPhone 13 does better for that ultra-wide camera. Moving on to some 5x zoom pictures, well, here neither the iPhone 13 or the Redmi Note 11 does that great, and that has a lot to do with the fact that we don't actually have a telephoto lens on the back of either device. So for a budget-friendly phone, I feel that it does plenty good when compared to that iPhone 13. As for portrait mode pictures, I can't really say that the Redmi Note 11 does bad, because it actually doesn't do bad for those portrait mode pictures. So I don't really mind the portrait mode pictures that I took with the Redmi Note 11, even though the iPhone 13 does seem to do a bit better. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some pictures that I took at night. So if you are taking pictures with the main camera, you can use a night mode for the main camera. However, if you are taking nighttime pictures with the ultra-wide lens, you cannot use the night mode for that ultra-wide lens. Now, looking at those pictures that I took, once again, there is no comparison between the iPhone 13 and the Redmi Note 11. Then that was to be expected. Well, we all know that the flagship has a bigger sensor and so on, so that's why most of those pictures look better. Again, for a budget phone, I don't feel those pictures are bad if you have some light around you, but again, if you're comparing it with the iPhone 13 will do better in every single picture. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some sample video recordings. So the maximum recording resolution with the Redmi Note 11 is 1080p at 60 frames per second. However, the phone doesn't get any image stabilization at any resolution. So it doesn't matter if you're doing 1080p at 30, 1080p at 60, you're not gonna get image stabilization. So if you're not holding the phone super steady, you will see that the footage is shaky. So next I'm going to show you some sample recordings so you can see the video quality from the Redmi Note 11 compared to the video quality that we get from that iPhone 13. Alright, we have a quick video test between the Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 and the iPhone 13. For this recording I'm doing 1080p at 30 frames per second with both devices. Of course, with the iPhone 13 I could also record in 4K, but the maximum recording resolution for the Redmi Note 11 is 1080p at 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, at these resolutions we don't get any image stabilization with the Redmi Note 11. So if you are walking fast or stuff like that, the footage will look a bit shaky, as you can probably see right now. So we're gonna stop here, I guess. No, actually, let's head left. So we'll go this way. We're gonna stop somewhere around here. And I'm gonna pan left slowly and then back right. So yeah, this is how a recording would look like if you are using the Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 and the iPhone 13, recording with the main camera and doing 1080p at 30 frames per second. Okay, and we are moving on to another quick recording done with the front-facing cameras on both these devices, so the iPhone 13 and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 11. The maximum recording resolution for the Redmi Note 11 is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Of course, with the iPhone, you could do 4K at 60 frames per second with that front-facing camera. It doesn't seem like we get any type of image stabilization for the front-facing camera on the Redmi Note 11. So yeah, this is how a recording would look like with the front-facing cameras on these two devices on a super sunny day, but also a bit of a windy day. Alright, we have a quick video test between the Xiaomi Redmi Note 11 and of course the iPhone 13. For this recording we are using the main cameras on the back of the two devices and recording in 1080p at 30 frames per second. Of course, at this resolution, the Redmi Note 11 doesn't get image stabilization, as I said earlier. And of course, with the iPhone 13, I could do 4K at 60 frames per second. So I'm gonna stop here. Actually, let's walk this way, where it gets a bit darker. Walk this way. Just gonna pan right slowly. And back left, and I guess we'll walk past this blue sign. So yeah, this is how a recording done with the main cameras on the back of these two devices would look like. So that's gonna be the video quality that you're gonna be able to get from the Redmi Note 11. As I said, you do have to compromise a bit with a budget phone like this one. And the same kind of goes for selfies. For selfies, the Redmi Note 11 doesn't have a night mode, so if it's dark whenever you're taking those selfies, of course the selfies aren't gonna turn out that great. So there you have it, this is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 11. As I said, there are a couple of things that are really good about this phone, considering that this is a budget-friendly phone, like the screen, one of the best screens that I've seen on any device. The battery life on it is good, the fingerprint scanner works great, the speakers work great. So there are many things that are great about this phone, but a couple of things that you do have to consider when buying a budget-friendly phone like the Xiaomi Redmi Note 11. Alright guys, hopefully this video was useful, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.